Chapter 2. And I, brethren, when I came to you, came not with excellency of speech or of wisdom, declaring unto you the testimony of God. For I determined not to know anything among you, save Jesus Christ and him crucified. And I was with you in weakness, and in fear, and in much trembling. And my speech and my preaching was not with enticing words of man's wisdom, but in demonstration of the Spirit and of power, that your faith should not stand in the wisdom of men, but in the power of God. Howbeit we speak wisdom among them that are perfect, yet not the wisdom of the world, nor of the princes of this world that come to naught. But we speak the wisdom of God in a mystery, even the hidden wisdom which God ordained before the world unto our glory, which none of the princes of this world knew, for had they known it, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. But as it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. But God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit, for the Spirit searcheth all things, yea, the deep things of God. For what man knoweth the things of a man, save the spirit of man which is in him? Even so the things of God knoweth no man, but the Spirit of God. Now we have received not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit which is of God, that we might know the things that are freely given to us of God. Which things also we speak, not in the words which man's wisdom teacheth, but which the Holy Ghost teacheth, comparing spiritual things with spiritual. But the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolishness unto him. Neither can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned. But he that is spiritual judgeth all things, yet he himself is judged of no man. For who hath known the mind of the Lord, that he may instruct him? But we have the mind of Christ. Here in chapter 2, Paul talks to people so they understand that because they're separated into little groups sometimes in these churches, and they have these, I am of Paul, I am of Cephas, I am of Apollos, I am of Christ, that people are doing their little mind games, they're doing their reasoning things, they're coming up with philosophies. And he wants them to understand that that isn't how you live or arrive at decisions in the gospel of Jesus Christ. That in effect, there's a different way, and that different way is right. And he says in verse 1, And I, brethren, when I came to you, came not with excellency of speech or of wisdom. Now, he doesn't mean he was dumb. What the word wisdom here means, much reasoning. That's, finally you take something and you sort of reason it out, and then you say what you think you mean, and based on what you think it means, that means something else, that means something else, and that means, and pretty soon what you're talking about doesn't mean anything at all real, but you've gotten yourself into some wisdom that really doesn't mean anything. Declaring unto you the testimony of God. That's what he was declaring, the testimony of God. And verse 4, And my speech and my preaching was not with enticing words of man's wisdom, but in demonstration of the Spirit and of power. So he wasn't trying to get people to, and this was a very common thing in the Greek tradition, and Corinth is part of Greece, was that these people would use much reasoning. They were always looking for the hidden meanings, the hidden wisdom, all kinds of things. We have a lot of people who do that. But verse 5 sort of hits the crux of it. It's a nail on the head. That your faith should not stand in the wisdom, reading the teachings, or the special things that people have come up with of men, but that your faith should stand in the power of God. That's what it's all about. And then we go to verse 14. I want to touch this. But the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God. People who rely on their own reasoning, who have not the willingness or obedience to be faithful to the things that they can receive through the Spirit of God, never receive those things. They seem foolish to them. How many times have you tried to talk to somebody and they just, I don't want to listen to this. This is all garbage. And what that person is telling you is they're not a spiritually inclined person. They might be at some other time, but they're not the time you're talking to them, because the teachings are spiritually discerned, not something you reason out. And this is what he wanted them to understand. There's no point in them having disputes about what somebody said and what it means, and that means what they need to do this, and that's some secret code for this, that, and the other. That is all foolishness. It's foolishness for God. God talks plainly. Okay? It's men that talk complicated. Verse 16, for who hath known the mind of the Lord, that he may instruct the Lord? Which one of these guys that is leading one of these groups is so wise that he has instructed the Lord in what the Lord means and what he says? No, that isn't the way it's been, brethren. We have the mind of Christ. In other words, the teachings that Paul has brought to these people are the mind and will of Jesus Christ. He has told them the things that he has learned of Jesus Christ, and that is what they need to focus on. Don't try and make more of it with their own reasoning than the Lord has provided, because if they follow what the Lord has provided, the Lord will grant them the inspiration and the understanding they need. But they are never going to be able to reason this out because they just don't have what it takes to do that level of reasoning. If they were God or they were Christ or they were instructors to God or Christ, they probably could be able to do that, but none of us are. And so it's better for us to take the instructions we receive from the Lord and start with that and stay with that kind of thing than try and come up with something of our own which we have reasoned out from that. That was one of the great things that caused all the little schism churches that came out of Christianity in the first couple of centuries. All kinds of weird and wonderful things.